Chapter 676, You Intisians. Camus was stunned to find Amandina here. His astonishment far outweighed any joy he might have felt. From the window above, Amandina noticed the four figures below. Her face twisted in alarm, and she disappeared into the house's shadowy interior. Taken aback, Camus called out, "Don't be scared. We're here to keep you safe." While shouting, he raced up the stairs to the second floor of Twanaku's residence. His visit to Palm Manor had confirmed Louis Barry's theory. The Dream Festival participants had lost control of their actions, driven by hidden malevolence and desires. Yet, their minds remained lucid, allowing for communication. Camus couldn't be sure if the possessed individuals would misinterpret others' words. Furthermore, this wasn't true clarity of thought. They wouldn't realize they were dreaming, and the experience would fade upon waking. Thump, thump, thump. Camus and Rhea charged into the building, taking the steps two at a time. Behind the house, out of sight, a glass window set in wooden planks swung open. Amandina, clad in black hunting gear, nimbly climbed out. She used the wall's protrusions and crevices to swiftly descend to the ground. As her feet touched the earth, she noticed a figure watching her from the side. It was Lugano, his right arm ending in a bloody stump, his face marred with crimson stains. He looked a frightful mess. Amandina's heart clenched. She pressed her back against a pillar supporting Twanaku's house, fists tightening as she shut her eyes. In the same instant, Lugano's eyelids drooped, his mind growing hazy. He collapsed to the ground, falling into a deep sleep where he lay. Amandina's eyes snapped open, no longer using her power to force the battle-worn man into slumber. Doing so would trap her in a profound sleep, able to act only in her nightmare form, her body immobile. And the man wasn't alone. Before Lugano could wake naturally, Amandina turned to flee, seeking a safe haven to conceal herself. At that moment, she heard a smirking voice. "So you're a beyonder too." Amandina instinctively glanced over and saw the adventurer, Louis Barry, standing before another wooden pillar supporting Twanaku's house, not far from her. The handsome Louis Barry, with his dark hair and emerald eyes, had one hand in his pocket as he leaned against the pillar. His feet were crossed behind him, and his lips curled into a playful smile as he looked her way. The dim crimson moonlight of the night lent him an air of enigmatic and sinister allure. Amandina tightened her fists once more and closed her eyes. However, her spiritual senses told her that Louis Barry had vanished in an instant. She couldn't find the target and couldn't use her corresponding abilities. Moments later, Amandina, with her heightened spiritual perception, cast her gaze towards the shadows on the ground floor of the house. She sensed something stirring there. At the same time, Amandina heard an illusory and ethereal voice. "We mean you no harm. We're not affected by the Dream Festival." Amandina, who was about to use her spiritual perception to lock onto the formless presence in the shadow, was taken aback. Just then, Camus and Rhea ran to the corresponding window and called out to Amandina. "We're here to protect you. We have enough self-control." After assessing the number and strength of the two sides, Amandina asked skeptically, "Why aren't you affected?" As she spoke, she locked onto the formless entity in the shadow, believing it to be the strongest among the opposing group, the adventurer, Louis Barry. If she discovered anything amiss and something went awry, controlling Louis Barry first would effectively increase her chances of escape. Lumien's body emerged from the shadows. He glanced at Lugano, who had regained consciousness and stood up, and inwardly praised Amandina's keen spiritual perception. Then, he smiled at Amandina and said, "Surely you've noticed that we've been entering and exiting this house frequently over the past few days. What about you? How are you able to maintain your normal self-control?" Amandina glanced at the house beside her, no longer puzzled by Lumien and the other's ability to remain lucid and rational. She pursed her lips and said, "Robert took me on a date to Twanaku's place. I spent half the night here." Camus's heart ached as he blurted out, "Robert knows what's special about this place." Amandina nodded nimbly. "He knows the Dream Festival very well." "What's his relationship with Twanaku?" Lumien asked thoughtfully. Amandina pondered for a moment. "I don't know. At the very least, I haven't noticed any romantic tension between them or any interactions." What do you mean by romantic tension? Lumion didn't directly inquire about Mr. Robert's knowledge of the Dream Festival. Instead, he asked something else. Are you a beyonder of the Evernight pathway? Amandina blinked and hesitantly said, in a way. Upstairs, Camus inquired with concern. Where did you obtain the potion formula and the corresponding ingredients? As they conversed, various movements and shouts echoed from the plantations, outside the town, and throughout the town. Amandina's eyes darted around as she grinned and said, Can I choose not to answer? What do you think? Lumion smiled at her. Amandina didn't back down. She raised her head slightly and stared into Lumion's eyes without flinching. She noticed that his smile remained unchanged, and his emerald green yet deep eyes remained emotionless. After more than 10 seconds, Amandina averted her gaze and tilted her head slightly. I obtained it in this dream. Camus, who was on the 3rd floor, was taken aback. You obtained it during the Dream Festival. He could understand obtaining a potion formula during the Dream Festival. While knowledge gains could be replicated in reality, could beyonder ingredients used to concoct potions be brought from the dream to reality? Could it be that, after consuming a potion during the Dream Festival, one could also remain a beyonder upon waking? This subverted much of mysticism's common sense. Without waiting for Amandina's confirmation, Camus thought of a possibility. He immediately asked Amandina, Are you a beyonder only in this dream? Amandina wanted to play dumb, but after glancing at Louis Barry, who was looking at her with a faint smile, she said gloomily, It's the same in reality, but I don't have many chances to showcase it. How is this possible? Camus gazed down at Amandina, suspecting that the mystical knowledge he had encountered since childhood was inaccurate. He had considered the possibility that Amandina was lying, but he wasn't willing to doubt this girl who held a special place in his heart. At that moment, Lumion spoke calmly to Amandina, his expression unperturbed. You haven't consumed a potion, have you? Amandina's expression shifted slightly. She puffed up her cheeks and muttered, Why are you still asking me if you already know? Haven't consumed a potion. Camus, Rhea, and Lugano were taken aback, but as they recalled their encounters, they gained a better understanding of Amandina's situation. It's indeed a boon, but I'm not sure how it was accomplished. Lumion silently smiled as Camus nervously asked Amandina, Which evil god deceived you? Amandina was bewildered. Evil god? What evil god? Before Camus could explain, Lumion asked thoughtfully, How did you obtain these supernatural abilities? Amandina scoffed. Why should I tell you? In the next moment, she saw Louis Barry reveal a smile that inexplicably terrified her. It's Robert, Amandina said with a shiver. He took me into the forest outside and led me to a huge black stone. He asked me to place my hand on it. And then you became a beyonder. Lugano interrupted Amandina with surprise and curiosity, failing to abide by his duty as a servant. Amandina shook her head. Then I fell asleep in the dream. When I woke up, I had superpowers. Is Robert also a beyonder? Did he obtain his powers through the same method? Camus pressed. Amandina let out a soft sigh and said, He's a beyonder, but I don't know if he obtained his abilities the same way. He brought me on a date here. Before entering this dream, he was already a beyonder. Black Boulder, Lumion emerged from the ground floor of Hisoka's house and asked Amandina with a smile, Where's Robert? He's not having a date with you here. Amandina's expression shifted between anger and amusement as she replied, He wanted to visit his other lover before coming to me. He has another lover, who? Camus asked, suddenly angry. Amandina's eyes darted around, and she hesitated for a moment with a strange expression. Padre Kali. Camus, Rhea, and Lugano couldn't help but exclaim in shock and confusion. Even someone as well-read as Lumion couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. Amandina spread her hands and said, He does like women, but he prefers men. He said he brought me into the dream to obtain superpowers because he felt guilty towards me. He was also grateful that I was willing to help him keep it a secret and not break off the engagement, continuing to go out with him, make out with him, protecting his image even after knowing his other side. At that moment, Camus and Rhea remained silent, but Lumion sensed the same meaning in their eyes. You Intisians. Amused, Lumion asked Amandina, "And you can accept that?" Amandina pondered seriously. "Why not? As a marriage partner, Robert excels in status, wealth, strength, looks, and skills. In the southern continent, there aren't many better choices. Besides, we did have a beautiful relationship. He does love me, but he also loves Padre Kali." Amandina smiled at Lumion and said, "He also promised me more freedom." Upon hearing Amandina's response and looking at the youthful and beautiful girl, Camus, who was on the third floor, suddenly felt a pang of sorrow. A certain beauty in his heart shattered. Lumion glanced up at him and scoffed inwardly. Hadn't he been mentally prepared to see the other side of Amandina? Amandina managed to express herself succinctly in a very self-controlled manner without demonstrating it. Perhaps Amandina had deliberately said so much in front of Camus to prevent him from loving her out of pity. Lumion turned to Amandina. "In other words, Robert is currently in St. Seine Cathedral." "Yes," Amandina nodded. Lumion tersely acknowledged her words and spoke in a commanding tone. "Then let's pay him and Padre Kali a visit."